and then the engagement section within the lectures, and then the analytics on the back end. That would be great.
Ryan, this is Fred. I just want to, we may have discussed this, but can you just describe what the classroom setup is like? Is there a podium computer, or what is the instructor actually pushing up to the big screen, and what other equipment's in the room?
Well, this is mainly going to be used online. We really won't, I mean, we may have plans of integrating this into the classroom later on if it works well, but right now our focus is putting this into an online classroom.
Oh, okay.
So
my fault. I heard you say lecture capture. We usually interpret.
Oh, that's okay.
Room, but okay, so the focus here is all online. Okay, that answers my question.
It is. I mean, although we will use this in our development of those online courses as well, and that's where the lecture capture comes in. So right now, we have maybe 6 to 8 developers who specialize, in whatever topic or area that they are skilled in. And like I said, they'll create the content for the courses, and then we will build it into Canvas for them. So getting them to record lectures, we're just looking for an easier way to do that. We're using Camtasia right now, and again, it's a cool program, but to get it to them, to train them on how to use it, it's just it's a pain.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for something easier that's more browser-based that they can just kind of do, on their own. We don't have to mess with licenses. We don't have to mess with any of that. So it's kind of both. I mean, when I say capture lecture, I'm not necessarily meaning in front of the classroom, but they will capture online lectures, which is narrating a PowerPoint.
Okay, and would they do this from anywhere, or are there dedicated studios, or is this from home or in their office?
This could be anywhere. Really, mainly either their office or their house.
Okay. All right, sounds good. That answered my question. So, Steve,
we're also interested kind of in the mobile as well, because they do. I mean, when they do narrated PowerPoints, they won't use the mobile, but we do have like a lot of campus events and stuff. So if that were the case, we could easily just record something with mobily and then push it straight to the Echo platform, and then, first of all, be able to store it there. And then if we ever needed to put it into Canvas, we can just easily upload it there.
Sure. We'd be happy to talk about the mobile. All right, Steve. Were you going to cover any slides, or did you want to just dive into the product?
No. I just.
Yeah, whatever you guys want to do is cool with me. As long as I would like to have like a demo of the product just so I could show them. But by all means, if you guys want to cover slides and the demo, that's totally cool with me.
Thanks, Ryan. No, we're just going to jump right in, and then. After we can keep it informal and just you can ask questions as we go. And then I've got some follow-up questions at the end. So I'll stop sharing, Fred, and then I will turn it over to you.
Okay, sounds good.
But Ryan, I will send you, instead of the slides, I'll send you some additional resources that we talk about with clients in the community college space, specifically with online and the student engagement stuff that you said was important.
Sure, thank you.
All right, so let me go ahead and share. So based on what we just discussed, we're gonna focus really on our software capture, which I'll actually demonstrate. But I just wanted to kind of, as a reminder, mention that for classroom, physical classroom venues, we also offer 2 different appliances for kind of smart rooms that may have more sophisticated technology. So we can revisit the hardware if it makes sense down the road, but I just want to kind of mention that we do offer software-based capture in and out of the classroom, as well as 2 appliance options.
Sure.
And I should stop and see, do you have an interest in diving in any further on the hardware, or do you want to just kind of keep it focused on how the software capture works for now?
Yeah, not at this time, but it's good to know that if we ever did want to expand later into the classroom, that option is there.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so as you know, we integrate with Canvas. Okay, so what I think I might do initially is just kind of show you how a student connects to the content, and then we can back out and I'll show you how an instructor initiates recordings and then how you can manage the content, how you can review all of the analytics. But I figure I'll just start out with the basic overview of kind of the workflow for the student. And we run in Amazon Web Services, so it's fully cloud-based, completely secure, completely redundant. All of the backups, all of the security and compliance is handled as part of the service. And we push out news just like Canvas does. We push out new software every 2 weeks on a schedule. So we're able to roll out new capabilities and fixes much faster, and that all gets handled automatically. So you don't have to worry about doing any kind of updates. Most of our customers are using their LMS as kind of their front door to the system. However, it's not required. So I should ask, are all your online courses, I assume they're all tied into Canvas?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, but you would have the option if you wanted to, or there may be some scenarios where you want to share content in different ways that's not associated with courses, whether it be events, graduations, other kind of videos on campus. There are different ways to authenticate users, either through your LDAP or Active Directory. You can also share content publicly. So if it's public-facing content or guest speakers, so Echo can be used much more broadly for really managing any type of video on campus. But for the primary use case here, we'll kind of show you the workflow of going through a course in Canvas. Okay. So let me just I want to log in as a student. All right, and I'm going to go into my course. So we use LTI for the integration. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with how LTI works, or do you have any questions about LTI tools in general?
No, sir, I understand. Yep.
Okay. So basically, the admin sets up, creates the LTI tool and makes it available. So then the admin can either add it to the courses on behalf of the instructor, or the instructor has the ability to add the tool to their course. So in this case, it's named Echo360, but you can name it whatever you want, and it can appear anywhere where there's where you can add an LTI tool. So in this case, this example is just on the sidebar, but you also can add under assignments. And so I guess I wanted to ask, for the online classes, are you creating individual assignments for specific online sessions? Or is how are your users, how are the students getting to the online classes today?
We use the modules, so they will essentially the links to their coursework would be in modules.
Okay.
We operate on 6-week terms, so it once they go into the modules, it pretty much just has that course broken down into weekly increments. Each week has a lecture section, and ultimately that's where our videos would go.
Okay.
So, I don't know if our students would use like the tool in the sidebar. I mean, which, if that's how it has to be implemented, that's fine. We can always hide it.
Yeah,
from
that
them.
could be.
But I think we would actually just then link it into that lecture section.
Okay. So basically what I've got here is showing it through assignments, but anywhere, whether it's under modules or any other place in Canvas that you can add an LTI tool link, is how you can link to individual videos. So in this example, we've got, we'll just show a video on dense connective tissue.
And you can add to a content page in Canvas as well?
We can. I'll show you that as an instructor, how that one's done.
Okay.
Via the text editor, you mean? The WYSIWYG editor? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll show you that when we go in as the instructor.
All right. Thank you.
So basically, as you can see in this example, the content is just embedded right into the frame in Canvas. there are options if you'd rather it pop open a new window. It can be set up to do that. But basically what happened is, as a student, when I clicked on that link, it authenticated me. So it knows that I'm a student in the Canvas course. It knows my role, and it knows my name and email address. So what it actually does is it creates that user account in Echo360 on the fly. So it does that user provisioning. It does the role mapping, and that way the student then, as an authenticated user in Echo360, is able to interact in various different ways, which I'll show you. And then we also are able to capture learning analytics associated with that individual user. And the audio is not going to come through, I don't think, the Zoom session, but just to kind of show you what the UI looks like. It's all HTML5 based, so there's no software to install, there's no plugins. We do have mobile apps as well, and I think we had an exchange where you can actually get to Echo360 content through the Canvas app as well. But basically, users are able to, adjust the layouts. There's various different options to see the content the way they want to. If they don't want to see the video, they can completely turn that off. And there's also, a lot of these things you're going to find in most other video platforms, options where you can, preview your thumbnails to navigate throughout the video to find the point that you want to jump to. There's also options where you're able to, if you're using closed captioning, you can turn on the captions. And we also provide, various ways to customize the way that looks. So you can adjust the contrast and location of those captions. And all of the captions are searchable. And I don't know if we had a conversation about this, but we recently signed a partnership with Amazon to be using their machine-based transcriptions. So we're, based on your license, we're bundling in a certain number of hours of free machine-based transcriptions. And it's actually the most accurate transcription service available. It's using the same technology that's used for the AI in Alexa. So that will, you'll have it, and we're hoping to roll that out into the product within the next couple of weeks. So you have the option of captioning as well as a transcription file. We'll capture up to 1080p, but we'll always also capture a lower quality, so a standard definition option. So if you did want to select the different playback rate, and then students can also play that video back at up to double speed. So certainly if you're taking online classes, you can watch a 1-hour recording in 30 minutes. So that's definitely one of the most popular features for students. And hopefully you can see through this Zoom session that it is speeding it up a little bit there. You also can slow it down to half speed. So let's say you're not a native English speaker. It might be helpful to slow that video down so you can listen to it more slowly. So a lot of what I've shown you so far is kind of your typical video or lecture capture feature set. So where Echo360 is different than really all of the other video platforms out there is we're providing a number of different ways for students to interact with the content. So I'll take you through them. The first option is the digital notes. So while students are watching a video, they're able to take electronic notes, and their notes are automatically tagged against the time in the video. Okay, and you can just click on the time and it jumps you back right to the point in the video where you took that note. So if I add a new note, it knows that I'm at 1 minute and 18 seconds in there, and it just puts that contextual link. So when the student goes back, let's say it's a couple weeks later, they're preparing for the exam, they'll have all of their notes contextualized against the instructional material. And the notes are private to the student, so nobody can see the words that they've typed. If they choose, they can download them and share them, but otherwise they're private to that student. But the instructor has data on the volume of notes that each student is taking. So we're capturing the word count of the student notes. And everything I'm showing you, we have data on as well. So we certainly have all of the data associated with the viewing of the video, but all of the other student interactions are all added to the analytics as well. So next we have Q&A. So the Q&A can be used in a number of different ways, but let's say you're watching a video and you wanted to ask a question. Super easy to enter your question. You can attach links and files if you want. And again, you can reference your question against the time in the video. And you can even post your question anonymously. And at this point, everyone who is associated with this course has access to see this Q&A thread. So what happens in many cases is, this may become a peer-to-peer conversation where, other students see these questions and they can click the like button to essentially say they have the same question, but kind of open this example up here. You can see a question asked by Alex Hendricks: how much does isolation of endothelial cells cost? And you can see in this example, the student that I'm logged in as responded, and it can become a conversation where anyone can continue to respond to this thread, as well as the instructor if there's any TAs, anyone who has access to this content. So it's just a great way for students to get their answers, reinforce their understanding of the material, and then also for the instructor to see the type of questions that students are asking. So they're able to identify where they're confused, where they may be struggling, and they can make sure they can address those questions, whether it's in the Q&A discussion or creating supplemental materials on those topics. I just wanted to stop for a moment. Any questions so far on anything that I've covered?
No, not so far. It looks awesome.
Okay, great. So just like the notes and the video viewing data, our solution's capturing analytics on the Q&A. So as an instructor, you can see the volume of Q&A threads that student has participated in, and ultimately we're providing an overall view of engagement level. So all of the different student interactions are rolling into a numeric engagement score, which I'll show you in a few minutes. All right, and then there's also just a straight up confusion flag. So at any point while you're watching a video, you can hit this confusion flag, and what it does is it sends a signal back to the instructor, which is into the analytics. So it just provides the instructor an easy way to assess, how well the students are understanding the material in aggregate. So the confusion is not associated with an individual student user account. It's actually an anonymous signal, but it lets the instructor see, all right, do the majority of the students understand this, or are there 10 students who are confused here, and do we need to spend some more time on this topic? Okay, so that is the example here. You can see in this case the instructor created the content in her office. So that's kind of the use case that we're talking about here for creating online content. There's also different use cases that we support for, if you were using Echo360, let's say in a classroom, the instructor could upload the PowerPoint presentation. So students could just bring their mobile device or their laptops into the classroom, and the instructor is still presenting up on the big screen, but now the student actually has a local copy of the slide presentation, and they're able to take digital notes and tag those notes against the individual slides. Okay. There's also, by the way, the ability, if you're creating video content, you also can attach slides with the videos. So that same video I showed you, so this is her recording of her screen, recording of her camera. But here in this other window, she has attached her PowerPoint presentation. So the students are able to actually reference the PowerPoint slides in conjunction with the other video material. So an example here, you may ask the student to, watch a short video, review some of the slides, and the instructor can also incorporate various different. Do I have any polls in this one? I thought I might have had a poll in here. Let me pull up a different one where I know it's got a poll. But you can associate poll questions with your video content. I think I froze up my computer. Bear with me a second.
Hey, Ryan, while Fred is pulling that up, quick question for you. With the online program, do you have rolling admission or do you go by semesters?
We go by semesters. We call them terms, but either way, they start at a certain period. They don't just get put into an open course.
Gotcha. Has fall started already for this year?
We are on break week actually right now, and it starts on Monday.
Gotcha. Okay. So if you did bring something on, you'd be looking more toward like the spring?
Yeah, more than likely.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about the delay. I managed to find
you're fine.
that had polls. So we have 5 different types of poll questions. So great way to reinforce that whether the student understands the material in the video they're viewing. So here's an example of a multiple choice question. You can also ask multiple choice questions and then also require that they type in a short explanation of their answer. We have image-based polls. So this is an example of Dr. Sampsonway. I think you may have met or seen out at InstructureCon, but he teaches this extreme weather course. And so he incorporates all kind of visuals into his poll questions. So in this case, where would you expect the storm surge to be greatest? Students just click on the screen. And then here, they have to actually explain why they answered the way that they did. We have free response, okay? So that could be any type of open-ended question. We have numeric questions and ordered list. Okay, so there's 5 different types of poll questions. So I'm going to shift gears and go into the instructor side, but I just wanted to stop for a moment and ask if there are any questions on any of the student capabilities so far.
I just have one question, and this may be in the instructor part because they have to create it, but is there a way to like index the videos? So say you have 5 chapters, I could list where that chapter begins and the student can just click on chapter 3 and it takes them right to that section.
There's a way to do that. I'll show you in the CMS portion of the product. There's a way to generate links that will share directly to a specific point in time in the video. But the concept I think you're describing is a chaptering feature, which is something we definitely want to add as well. We don't have chaptering yet, but we do have the ability to share a video that takes the user right to 12 minutes into the session at a specific point. So I'll show you how you can do that.
Sure, thank you.
All right, so I'm gonna log out as the student and we'll go back in as the instructor. All right, so just like the student, I can either click on those individual links that would take me right to a video, but you also have this link here, and you can set it up in a way where it's viewable to the instructor but not to the student. But this basically is going to take you into the Echo360 course. So here you're going to have the instructor view. you're going to see all of the videos that have been associated with this course, no matter how they've been created or uploaded. So this could include, recordings in a physical classroom. This could be recordings done with our software outside of class for, purely online. This could include uploading Camtasia content that you've created in the past. Basically this, if you're a student or if you're an instructor in this course and you click that link, it's going to take you to this page and users can search and find the content they want to view. So we support both models. For schools that are doing just 100% scheduled lecture recordings, this workflow is actually preferred because you're setting up one link, the admin sets it up at the beginning of the semester, and then your students would just come back to this page over and over again throughout the semester, and they'll just see the new recordings. For online content, you're going to put it under assignments or modules, and you can set it so they're clicking into individual videos. So let's just see. So we have a couple of options. So if you're recording in a classroom, you have the ability to initiate the recording from here via the web interface. We also have our universal capture software, which is in beta. It's very soon to be released, where you can launch that recording from the web interface. So in this example, I've got my laptop here assigned as a room, and you're able to launch it, and it's, oh, I'm not logged in. Bear with me a second. So you can launch the Universal Capture client via the web, all right? But I could just as easily have the application installed on my computer and launch it locally, okay? So it's the exact same user interface if I'm launching it via the web or if I'm launching it via the local application. And you also have the option where administrators can they can remote in as well. So if they need to facilitate recordings, there's options for them to do that. So in this example, as you can see, I've got my webcam on. It's giving me a preview of my computer screen. So just like Camtasia, it's going to do a screen recording. And I'm just using the built-in microphone. But if I did want to switch to a USB device, I can do that. Similarly with the camera, if I wanted to connect an external USB camera, I can do that as well. Or if I just want to do a screencast with no camera, I can just turn that off. And at this point, I literally just hit the record button, and it's going to initiate that recording. Okay, so you get a quick 5-second countdown. And at this point, let's just say I was showing something in PowerPoint, I would just present as normal, present to the camera, or just do my screen recording. And then I do have the ability up on the top here, it will show me how long my recording has been going. So if I did need to, I can pause that recording. I can extend it if I need it to go longer. Or when I'm done, I can just hit finish capture. Okay, and at this point, it's going to upload that video directly to my Echo360 library. So that's kind of option one. Is as an instructor, if you want the ability to look at that video before your students do, you can publish it. The default is it's going to publish it to your library, and then you might want to edit it or preview it, make sure everything looks good, and then share it into a course. The other option you have is you can add your title and description and tags, and I can select the course that I want to publish to. And with that selection, and I save that, once I'm done with the recording, it's going to automatically publish it to the course, which means if you do have any links set up to that course, the students would have immediate access to that content. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. One question, is there a way to like export a video as an MP4 if we needed to take a video and put it into like Premiere and do some fancy stuff with it and then put it back into Echo? Does it have like an export option at all?
Yeah, absolutely. So the students can export as well as the instructor. So from this course page, if I click on any one of these, I've got this option to download, and then
Gotcha.
in this case it was just screen and audio, but it's going to be an MPEG-4. And if you were doing one that had video and content, you would have the option to select. These would be separate files, so they're both MPEG-4 files, but they're just independent. But yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Into an external editor, and then you can import them back into Echo.
Awesome.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me just go into my library. So we can see that first video that I published, I didn't give it a name, so I just kind of did a quick and dirty recording. So it published it to my library, and then I can come in here and I can just up and preview it. Okay. And I can see, this has not been published anywhere. And so at this point, I have my sharing options, and it might still be processing for a minute, but I have the ability, if I wanted to publish this into a course, I select my, my course, my section, and then I would give it a name here. Now, if I wanted to, I can give a time, but for online content, it may not be as necessary to put a date and time. So as long as you have a title, you don't have to put in a date and time if you don't want. Okay, and then see, now this content is available within the course. Okay. I also have the option of sharing. I can share a video to an individual user. So let's say I just have a video that I want to share with one student or a group of students. I can share that way. Or I can also add share links. So I can generate a link. And your question earlier, if I wanted that video to start playing, at specific, 5 minutes and 24 seconds into that video, I can generate the share link that way, so it will jump right to that point when the user clicks on the link. And this would be outside of, you can share it publicly, or you can share it with your, your institutional single sign-on credentials as well. All right, so just come back here to the library. I'm going to show you one that's already been processed. So here you can preview your dual inputs. If I did want to edit that video, I can just click on the edit option. And so you can crop something off the beginning of the video, or you can crop out of the middle. If I wanted to make another cut, just set my cut point, and then this is what's going to be removed. Okay, so then once you have the edits the way you want, you can do one of two things. You can save this current version, or I can save these edits as a new video. So if I wanted to have two different versions of the same recording, or if I wanted to take a longer session and crop it into several shorter modules for online content, I can use this save as option, and then I'm going to be able to save it as a new, just give it a new name, and it's going to be another shareable object in your library. All right. I'm going to show you how to kind of link a couple of different assignments in Canvas, but I just wanted to stop and ask if there are any questions around content management, sharing, or anything else I've shown on the instructor side so far.
No, not so far. It looks awesome.
Okay. Actually, before I show you the linking in Canvas, I want to show you the analytics. So if I go into any course, we have this analytics tab. All right, so basically the instructor is going to have different views. You're going to have a kind of a course level view. So in aggregate, you're going to be able to see the data. You'll have a graphical heat map to show you all of your video sessions and what the activity has been for each of those sessions. This solution is also going to highlight for the instructor the least engaged students. And I'll show you in a moment how that gets defined. But the idea here is, as an instructor, this is the most important information. You can identify with a couple of clicks which students you want to reach out to. More often than not, there's a direct correlation between the engagement level of the students and how they're likely to perform. So we try to highlight that information on the first page. Also highlight the content that the students have flagged as most confusing. So as an instructor, you can easily identify what topics you may need to go back in and review. You can drill down into sessions. So if I wanted to pull up, a class on March 12th, make this a little bigger. Now I'll have a heat map of the video, so I can see where the viewing was the highest and what the viewing trends throughout that session are. But I also can see where students were confused within that specific video and where they were taking the most notes. And again, for that individual class, you have the student engagement data and the confusing content data. And then ultimately, you have data down to the student level. So you can see the individual students, and each of these columns represents an engagement metric. So attendance really wouldn't apply for an online use case, but certainly if you were using it for interactivity during class where students are participating on their laptops and mobile devices, we can track attendance, video viewing. The presentation views, that's if the instructor has uploaded the slide decks. Q&A participation, we've got the polling, so the percentage of poll questions you answered and the percentage that you got correct, and then your notes, right? And then each of these metrics rolls into this numeric engagement score. And it's very easy to sort these columns from high to low or low to high, and so you can see which students are watching the most videos. And the instructor also has the ability to customize how that engagement score gets created. So based on for an online scenario, we have presets where attendance wouldn't make sense. So you can set it to one of the presets, but then you also, let's say you're not using polling, you can turn that off completely and just adjust the weightings for the metrics that are most important. So the instructor can customize how that score is set up for his or her course. All right. So you can keep drilling down even further. So I can go into an individual class at the student level. So I can now see Alex Stone for this class session on adiabatic process. And I can see her engagement level. She asked 2 questions. She participated in half of the poll questions. She took 329 words of notes. You can continue to drill down. She watched 100% of the video. She saw it 10 times. So we're basically capturing all of the data that you could ever possibly need. And, I kind of would just put it out there that, this is something that over a period of time, instructors will gradually start using more and more of the data, but it's usually, it takes a while. It's not something that every instructor is going to jump in from day one, but really valuable data that no one else is providing. All of the other video platforms a lot of them that we're at InstructureCon will give you some level of video statistics. I'm sure Camtasia probably has something on video viewing data, but Echo360 is really the only one providing a full range of the learner analytics data that's and our solution is designed to help improve learning outcomes. So that's really our 100% focus. I just wanted to stop for a moment and see if there are any questions on the learner analytics or anything else that we've covered so far.
No, it's pretty straightforward. Like adding interactive components like these Q&As, is that done on the instructor side?
Yes. So, and by the way, just on the analytics, one last thing, you can export the data to CSV and you can also push it to the gradebook in Canvas. So just two other options for instructors. If you wanted to add polling, so I've got, so let's see, I've got this video here on atmospheric forces. So let's say I wanted to add a presentation here. Now, for us, presentation also incorporates the polling, but I can upload my PowerPoint if I have a PowerPoint to share. If I just want to add polls, I'm going to click Create New Presentation, and I'm going to click Add Activity. And then you'll have a wizard for each for each type of question. So at this point, this would be the only slide. So, but if you had a bunch of different polling sessions, you can adjust them to put them in the order that you want. So multiple choice, you give it a populate your answers. You also populate which one is the correct answer. And then you also, if you want to require that they justify their answer, you can set that there. You can even embed or attach additional media to your questions. And then, so now I've got a couple of poll questions with this one. And let's go ahead back and open it up. All right, so this is the instructor view of these polls. So I can see, out of 13 students, 0 responses. I can close the activity when I want. I also can display the results, and I can also display if with certain types of questions, you can display where the correct answer was supposed to be. But in an online use case, you really wouldn't be displaying the results because you don't know when different students are responding to the question. So really, you'd leave the poll open, but as an instructor, you'd be able to view the data at any time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so the last thing I wanted to show you, if I go back into Canvas, so there's a couple of options. So first, if I want to go into, I can go into any page that has the text editor. So if I pull up assignments and I want to create a new assignment, computer's misbehaving on me. So we have this Echo360 button. So just like you would embed YouTube or other content, you can click on this icon here and it's going to display all of the content that's in your library. So in this case, I'm logged in as an individual instructor. So I'm just going to see the content for that instructor. But if you are doing this with elevated permissions, such as an administrator, you'll actually see all of the Echo360 content. So you can, let's say you're populating content for, you know, an online course where you need access to all the video content, you'd be able to access everyone's content. So you can just select the video that you want to embed and go ahead and insert that. So, and at this point, so the one difference that I did want to point out is when you're using this text editor, it's basically kind of an open embed. It's not an authenticated workflow. So it's certainly an easy way to share content, but if you do need to have that data down to the student level, I'll show you another way to, you know, add Echo360 content to individual assignments. But this is a great option for really sharing any type of content, whether it be, you know, associated with courses, or it could be just general purpose video on campus that you want to share. And by the way, content that is added this way, those links never change. So if you did go back in and clone that Canvas course, all of these links are going to stay intact. Okay. Do you guys do that with your online courses? Is that?
We do, yeah. That's a great feature because we copy any course at the end of that term, either to an inventory if it doesn't run the next term, or we copy it to the new term.
Okay. All right, so that's the rich text editor. So the other option is if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to create an assignment and adiabatic process. So I know I've got a video in my library on the adiabatic process. So now I'm creating this assignment link in Canvas, and I'm going to select external tool, and I'll find the Echo360 tool. If I want, I can have it open up in a new window or just stay embedded. And there are options as well, like if you want to add points. So if you were using, for example, the polling data and you wanted to push it back into the gradebook, you can assign a number of points for an activity. But in this example, I'm just going to leave that. I'm going to save it and publish it. Okay, so now it's going to take me to this landing page where I'm going to link to an individual, where it says link to a classroom. That's kind of another term we use for a session. So I want to link directly to this video on adiabatic process. All right, so now if I go back in under assignments and click on this, it's taking me right to that video. And as a student, it's going to take the student to the video, and it's also authenticating them so the students can use the notes and the Q&A and all those other features.
Okay, so in order to use those features, you have to insert it in that manner that you just did.
Yeah, in order to have where your student is authenticated and has the engagement features, yes, you have to use it kind of with the LTI tool.
Okay.
Flow.
As an external tool.
Yes. The WYSIWYG, the rich text editor is think of it as kind of an unauthenticated view. So it's that's really the difference. So we provide both options there.
You can share the video, just not have all the all of the stuff on the back end.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Was there anything else on the Canvas integration side, or any other questions you had about the integration in general, or anything that we haven't covered so far that you were hoping to see?
No, I don't think so. It's been very in detail, man. I appreciate it.
Okay. So I think we'll at this point we kind of usually just open it up to discussions or feedback. So Steve, I don't know if you wanted to jump back in, but I guess, Ryan, we'd be interested in getting your feedback if this looks like something that could be a fit for your program.
It definitely is. If you don't mind, just some questions about pricing. I know that we had talked a little bit at InstructureCon. I know that it's based on FTE enrollments. When we had spoke out there, you had one of you guys had mentioned that it's $14,500 annually, and at least for the amount of students that we have, which is again around 400. And then there would be a $4,500 training and LTI installation, or however you want to phrase that. But it's pretty much an implementation and a training fee. Is that accurate? Or I just wanted to kind of touch base on that to see if those were accurate figures.
Steve.
Thanks, Fred. Yes, the figures are accurate. The only thing that I would say is that it's not based. Our pricing is not based on the FTE. It's based on the number of registered student users. So I think it sounds like what they described is either a pilot, which is typically how our new clients start off, and the cost for that would be $19,000. The second year would drop down to $14,500 because you wouldn't have any integration or training fees. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. That's pretty much, if you think of like all inclusive, that's on-site training, remote training as well, a full day on-site and then a day remote training for both faculty and administrators. And then if there were going to be any devices involved, then we would have someone come out for deployment and actually get those set up for you.
Okay. So we're looking at with 400. We also had talked about when we were out there about like space on the video platform. In other words, like quotas. Is there unlimited space? I don't think that there is. He had mentioned something about if we needed to add extra per year, we can.
Yeah, so that's referring to the streaming part of it. So the cloud usage, we call them cloud usage bundles. Initially, you get 25,000 hours, which for 400 students, it can do the job. It really just depends on how much they are streaming and checking out the videos. Particularly I know you have some healthcare specialties, and typically in healthcare, there is more cloud usage versus other programs. But we could start off with 25,000, and we do, as a part of our partnership and the success management, and that would be Mary Jane's area, but we work as a team to review your cloud usage streaming, your data usage, and we would give you updates, and that would also be available on your administrative dashboards as well. And so if you needed to add more bundles, you could do so. You wouldn't necessarily have to do that at the beginning of the year. You could do that as you were using the service.
Okay. And how much is extra per year? I think you said $750. Is that accurate?
It's only $750 per 5,000 hours, so it's really cost effective.
Okay. Do you just off the top of your head kind of know what's around 400 students would average hours wise, just so I have an idea? I mean, I'm not going to hold you that, but just in your experience, schools around that size, do they often go over the 25,000 mark?
Yeah.
So go ahead, Fred. Do you have something to add there?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of variables that can kind of influence the usage. I mean,
Sure.
How many courses, the quality, the online in general does tend to use more content than face-to-face courses, because the online students are required to watch every video, so they do tend to view a little bit more. And as Steve mentioned, in the sciences, the healthcare, certainly pharmacy, vet med, we certainly see higher usage than some of the other coursework. But it's kind of hard to answer that question definitively.
No, I understand completely.
25,000
All right,
25,000 hours for 400 students. My inclination is to say you should be good, but I can't say that 100%.
sure, totally. All right, so if I could just confirm what we just mentioned. So the first year a pilot would be $19,000. That includes the first year license fee plus implementation and training, and 25,000 streaming hours. And then every year after that is 14,500. And then just depending on our usage, we may have to purchase additional streaming hours. But if not, then we're looking at 14,500 per year.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Cool. And that includes everything that we viewed today on this demo. So it includes all of the platform, the analytics, the recorder, or not the hardware, but the recording options in the browser and all of that.
Yes, that includes everything.
Yeah,
and I will say
the software you can put it on as many machines as you want. And so there's no limit on that. And I just put up the mobile app. I just mirrored it to the screen. So the mobile app's included for students and instructors. So you can install that. There's options for, for recording, uploading, playback, as well as the student engagement features, all via the mobile app as well.
Okay. So when we say number of registered users, that's also including admins and teachers. And
no, that's
just students.
That's only students.
Okay, so we would be able to have as many teachers or admins use this platform as we like.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. One other question: whenever you had talked about like admins and then teachers having different roles and rights, what if you have a person that's both, that they're an admin, but they also are enrolled into a course as an instructor? Is there like a precedence that it would take depending on which role they would get to view?
If they are an instructor in a course, they're going to get the instructor view, which is going to take them to the.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually have on our doc site, we do have a page that will show you the mapping for each role in Canvas. But yeah, if you're an instructor if you're an admin in Echo, but you're an instructor in the course, you'll get the instructor role.
Okay, I see.
You can always switch. Like once you're logged into the system, you can always switch your role. So if I bring up the Echo page, I'm logged in. I'm actually if I have more than one role, I can change the role to
I was thinking more of the role within Canvas, not within the Echo platform. So that makes sense now. I understand.
Yep.
I think that's all the questions I have at this time. I really appreciate you guys taking the time and walking through all this. I know it took a long time, but I really appreciate it. If you could just send me that recording afterwards, I'm going to show it to the rest of my team. But man, it's awesome. It's a great product you guys got.
Thank you. We appreciate your time. I did want to ask you, what's the evaluation process like on campus? Like, is there a group? Is there an evaluation committee, and then you decide on something, and then that rolls up? How does that work?
You mean as far as implementing this tool? You mean? Yeah,
selecting a tool and then.
Right now, we'll have to. I'll take this to our administrators. We'll have discussions about it. We'll probably demo a few other tools just for the sake, of research and just seeing what's out there. And then once we make that decision, we're probably going to have to start working to put the processes in place to start implementing this. The other thing is we also this is an accrediting year for us. So we have an accreditation cycle coming up in the spring. So I'm not sure whether we want to implement that before or after that period. So that's why I kind of quoted you the spring. If we decide to wait until after the accreditation period, which we're looking is probably February or March, then we're looking around then to implement this about March or April. If we decide to do it before the accreditation process, then, you know, we may be looking at the end of the year, early 2019.
Gotcha. Okay. Thanks for that. That's helpful.
Sure, yeah, and it really comes down to the accreditation process, because it's just such an in-depth thing. You know what I mean? We really have to have all hands on deck, and it's hard to implement a tool like this when you're trying to do something else that large. But at the same time, you know, our department doesn't have as many criteria when it comes to accreditation. So we're just going to kind of play it, you know, discuss it, see how it plays out, and see what is required for accreditation before we kind of make the decision. But at the very latest, we're looking at spring. We would like to get a video platform installed for our students.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful, and I'll follow up via email with some additional resources that you can share with the group. And what would you like from our side as follow up?
Just the recording of this demo, if you could, so that I could, because really, you know, showing them what it can do is going to be much more impactful than just, you know, giving them a bunch of slides or something like that. Not that I don't want the slides. I mean, by all means, if you can send them over, that'd be fine too. But, you know, watching them, like I said, having them watch this demo of what it can do and what it looks like in Canvas, you know, how nice the interface looks, stuff like that. That to me is really what they want to see over top of just some features on a card. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And last point, I will say that Echo360 and the data that we track, and as Fred said, we're the only platform that tracks the learner analytics. That is actually being used to supplement the accreditation process. It's not Echo360 alone is not enough to check all the boxes, but it is being used to supplement the accreditation process. So even if you implemented us and you were only on a platform for a couple months, you still would be able to show, you know, a trend in data that could support and help with the accreditation. So that's something to keep in mind.
Absolutely, and we have a lot of non-traditional students. You know, I mean, our students aren't the Harvard type of student, and you know, it just is what it is. So you have to understand who they are and how they learn. So, you know, I really like the discussion and the notes features that you guys have. To me, that replicates the actual classroom as close as you can get online. And that's really what, you know, at least in my mind, what we're looking for, because that's what our students kind of want. You know, I think if our students had the flexibility, they probably would go to an on-ground school, but they're taking online because they work all the time or they have kids and they just can't. So, you know, my idea or goal is to replicate that classroom experience as much as possible within the online platform.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Ryan. Again, we appreciate it, and I will follow up with the recording. And then, just so you know, if there comes an opportunity where you'd like us to come on campus to meet with a larger group, we would love to visit Morgantown. So I think Mary Jane is really close. I'm not far away in Indianapolis, and Fred is in North Carolina, so we could get there.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your time. Really appreciate your information, and looking forward to hearing from you guys again soon.
All right. Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thanks a lot.